This is Dubai, in the season when everyone recognizes it. The gardens are full, the promenades are crowded, and entire attractions glow after sunset. Now look again, a few months later. Some gates are closed. Some outdoor attractions are between seasons. Some places are still open, but the people seem to arrive later, after the sun has started to fall. This is not an abandoned city. It is not a city in economic collapse. And that is exactly what makes the story so strange. Every summer, parts of Dubai appear to withdraw from the day. Some disappear for weeks or months. Others survive by changing when people use them. Beaches light up after dark. Waterfronts become more attractive in the evening. Seasonal destinations wait for cooler months to return, and while all of this is happening, Dubai keeps attracting millions of visitors. But the strongest clues are not hidden on the edge of the city. They appear in places almost everyone recognizes. Dubai Marina cannot simply close. Palm Jumeirah cannot be packed away until October. And downtown Dubai cannot switch off the Burj Khalifa for an entire summer. So the real question is not whether Dubai shuts down in summer. It does not. The question is, how much of outdoor Dubai has to change, pause, or move later just to keep the city functioning as a global tourism machine? Because once you stop looking at the thermometer and start looking at the clock, summer in Dubai begins to look very different. Dubai does not need another dramatic temperature statistic to prove that summer changes behavior. The more revealing evidence is written into the schedule. Across the UAE, the annual Occupational Heat Stress Prevention Policy restricts work under direct sunlight and in open spaces from 12:30 in the afternoon until 3 during the hottest part of summer. That does not mean Dubai stops working. It means the city officially recognizes that some hours require a different set of rules. And that distinction matters. A temperature number can feel abstract. A clock that changes how people work is immediate. Now apply that same idea to tourism. Dubai sells beaches, promenades, gardens, wildlife parks, outdoor dining, desert experiences, waterfront districts, and giant open-air attractions. Those places cannot all respond to summer in the same way. Some can close. Some can shorten a season. Some can shift activity toward evening. Others cannot move at all. And to understand the difference, start with one of the most recognizable waterfront districts in the city, Dubai Marina. Dubai Marina cannot retreat behind a gate. Hotels still need guests. Restaurants still need customers. Residents still need neighborhoods. Tourists still arrive expecting the city they saw online. The marina is famous in daylight, but its official tourism pages also emphasize its nighttime ambience, when towers, restaurants, yachts, and the waterfront are surrounded by artificial light. Restaurants fill. Lights reflect across the water. Boat trips turn into evening experiences. Walking outside becomes more attractive as direct sunlight fades. The point is not that Marina becomes empty every summer afternoon. There is no need to exaggerate. The important point is that nighttime is not a secondary version of Dubai. For many outdoor experiences, it is one of the city's strongest products. Then cross toward Jumeirah beach residents, and the same pattern continues. Dubai's official tourism guidance notes that JBR and Marina can become especially busy in the evenings and at weekends. Again, that does not prove that nobody is there during the day. It proves something more useful for this story. Evening is a major part of how these outdoor districts function and how they are sold. And once a neighborhood begins to depend on the evening for some of its most attractive public life, summer is no longer changing just an attraction. It is changing the social clock. But Marina is only the beginning, because just offshore sits a tourism district even more difficult to remove from the summer calendar. Palm Jumeirah. Palm Jumeirah represents the limit of the simple summer shutdown. It contains hotels, residences, beaches, restaurants, attractions, and some of the most recognizable luxury properties in Dubai. Atlantis sits at the outer edge as a global tourism icon. This is not a seasonal garden that can disappear behind a locked entrance. The island has to keep functioning. Its hotels have to sell rooms. Its restaurants have to serve guests. Its beaches and attractions remain part of the Dubai promise. Official tourism material encourages visitors to enjoy places such as Palm West Beach around sunset. That sounds ordinary until you place it beside what we have already seen at Marina. The city has a growing toolbox for summer. Move some outdoor activity toward evening. Build indoor alternatives. Sell sunset as part of the experience. Stretch the tourism day later. Palm Jumeirah shows why that toolbox matters. The larger and more expensive a district becomes, the less realistic a complete seasonal retreat becomes. Dubai has to engineer continuity instead, and nowhere is that pressure more symbolic than at the center of the skyline. Downtown Dubai. Burj Khalifa does not disappear for summer. The surrounding hotels, malls, restaurants, residences, and visitor experiences continue. Official Dubai tourism guides actively promote Burj Khalifa at sunset and many other after-dark experiences across the city. That is not evidence of collapse. It is evidence of how deeply the evening is built into Dubai's tourism identity. Marina can become more attractive after sunset. Palm Jumeirah can turn sunset itself into part of the product. Downtown can push visitors between indoor spaces, restaurants, observation decks, malls, and nighttime experiences. But it has no simple seasonal switch. It has to work. And this is where Dubai's summer strategy becomes more interesting. Because Marina, Palm Jumeirah, and downtown cannot disappear. But some famous places can. And one of the clearest examples is Dubai Miracle Garden. Dubai Miracle Garden is designed to feel almost impossible. A huge floral landscape sits in the middle of a desert city, filled with giant shapes, tunnels, themed displays, and one of the most recognizable garden attractions in the region. But Miracle Garden does not operate all year. Its official information says the attraction closes during the summer for maintenance, replanting, and seasonal renovation. That is important because the story is not that the flowers are suddenly destroyed by heat. The real story is that one of Dubai's most photographed outdoor attractions belongs to a different calendar from the city around it. During its season, the garden can feel like proof that Dubai can create almost anything. Then summer arrives, and the public experience pauses. Dubai can air condition a mall. It can build indoor entertainment on an extraordinary scale. But an open-air garden cannot simply be treated like another sealed building. So one solution is simple: close the gate. Reset. Return when the season changes. If Miracle Garden were the only example, this could be dismissed as ordinary seasonal management. But the next location makes heat itself part of the official explanation. Dubai Safari Park changes the tone of the story. The park is currently between seasons, and its own visitor information says it closes during the peak summer months, usually from June to September, due to extreme heat. That is a much stronger piece of evidence than another headline about record temperatures. Here, the heat is not background scenery. It is part of the reason the public season ends. The implication is easy to understand. Outdoor tourism has limits that architecture alone cannot erase. You can add shade, you can change operating hours, you can design cooling systems. But a large wildlife park still exists under the same summer sky as everything around it. And now we have different mechanisms. Miracle Garden closes for seasonal renovation and replanting. Safari Park closes through the peak summer period and explicitly cites extreme heat. Then a third famous destination expands the scale again. Global Village can draw enormous crowds when it is in season. Yet after its season ends, the gates close and the attraction waits for its next return. At this point, the contrast becomes clear. Some places can leave the calendar. Others cannot. You can close Miracle Garden. You can close Safari Park. You can finish a Global Village season and reopen months later. But you cannot close Dubai Marina. You cannot pack Palm Jumeirah away until October. You cannot shut downtown Dubai for an entire summer. That means Dubai needs another solution. Instead of removing a place from the calendar, remove part of the day. And one of the clearest examples is not hidden inside a technical report. It is on the beach. Dubai now promotes dedicated night swimming areas where powerful lighting and lifeguards allow people to swim after sunset. At parts of Kite Beach, swimming can continue from sunset until sunrise. Dubai municipality has described night beaches as a creative response to summer heat. Think about what that means. Dubai did not move the sea indoors. It changed the usable clock around the sea. The beach did not disappear. The traditional beach day became less important. And a second beach day appeared after dark. Kite Beach is where this story becomes instantly understandable. In the afternoon, the sun still controls the experience. After sunset, lighting changes what is possible. Families can arrive later. Swimmers can enter the water under supervised conditions. The coastline becomes part of a city that is increasingly comfortable after dark. This is adaptation, not failure. But adaptation always tells you something about the pressure that created it. Nobody builds a night swimming system because nighttime swimming is the only possible way to use a beach. It exists because evening creates an additional window that can be more appealing during the hottest part of the year. And once you see that, the pattern connecting the beach, Marina, Palm Jumeirah, and downtown becomes much easier to understand. Dubai is not only engineering buildings. During summer, it is engineering time. But not every part of the city responds in exactly the same way. Hatta is useful because it refuses to fit a simple headline. At the moment, Hatta Resorts is closed for the summer season. Many outdoor adventure activities are also listed as closed for the season. But Hatta Wadi Hub still advertises selected summer activities. Some experiences operate later in the day. Others disappear until the next season. That makes Hatta a better model for Dubai than a simple open or closed sign. Summer does not switch the city off. It makes the city contract in pieces. One product pauses, another survives, another changes hours, another comes back later. This is what seasonal adaptation actually looks like. It is not cinematic collapse. It is a series of small decisions about what remains usable, when it remains usable, and what has to wait. The same logic appears in older parts of the city too. At Al Seef on Dubai Creek, official summer promotions lean into sunset, dining, shopping, and evening atmosphere. This matters because it breaks another assumption. The shift toward later hours is not only a feature of futuristic Dubai. Even the heritage experience becomes especially powerful when the day begins to cool. And if you have followed the story this far, you might expect a predictable conclusion. Surely all of this pressure must be crushing Dubai tourism. The real numbers say otherwise. In 2025, Dubai welcomed 19.59 million international overnight visitors. That was a record, and about 5% higher than the year before. So this is not a story about a tourism industry already collapsing under summer heat. Calling it that would be wrong. The more interesting story is the crisis Dubai works constantly to avoid. The city keeps attracting people because it has built an extraordinary ability to reorganize tourism around climate. Indoor malls absorb part of the day. Hotels become destinations in their own right. Restaurants, entertainment, and shopping stretch late into the evening. Night beaches create another usable window. Seasonal attractions leave the calendar and return when conditions change. Summer festivals keep giving visitors reasons to spend. From the outside, the result can look effortless. But the effort is the point. Dubai's tourism strength does not prove that summer has no effect. It shows how much adaptation can hide the effect from the visitor. That is why the record visitor number should not end the story. It should make us ask a better question. If tourism remains strong because Dubai can keep shifting activity across space and time, what exactly is being surrendered in the process? 3 things have changed across these places. The first is space. Miracle Garden, Safari Park, Global Village, and parts of Hatta become unavailable for portions of the summer calendar. The second is time. Midday restrictions for outdoor work, night swimming, sunset experiences, and evening-focused activity all show that not every hour carries the same value. The third is behavior. Visitors move indoors. Outdoor districts become stronger after dark. Businesses build products around the evening. Families plan later. Tourism does not disappear. It rearranges itself. That is the version of summer pressure that matters most. It is not a skyline falling over. It is not an airport suddenly empty. It is not a dramatic overnight failure. It is a gradual loss of convenience. A garden that has to wait. A park that ends its season. A beach that becomes easier to enjoy after sunset. A neighborhood whose most attractive hours move later. Each example looks manageable by itself. Together, they describe a city that has become exceptionally skilled at negotiating with its climate. And that skill is exactly why the next question matters. Imagine that nothing in Dubai collapses. No tower falls. No airport closes. No tourism market suddenly disappears. Instead, the comfortable outdoor window simply becomes harder to protect. An attraction adjusts its season by a little. A restaurant invests more in cooling. An outdoor event starts later. A beach becomes more dependent on night access. A worker needs more protection from midday conditions. A family chooses a mall instead of a promenade. None of those changes sounds like a crisis. But cities are built from millions of ordinary decisions like these. The scarce resource may not be land. It may not even be water in this particular story. It could be usable outdoor time. That does not mean the usable day is guaranteed to shrink. It means Dubai's existing adaptations reveal why that possibility matters. If more activity must move indoors or later into the night, the cost is not only financial. The city becomes more dependent on cooling, lighting, transport, indoor capacity, and carefully managed schedules. That is a different kind of vulnerability. That is why the real warning is not a single catastrophic summer. It is the possibility that adaptation becomes more demanding, more expensive, and more central to ordinary life, while the skyline above still looks completely normal. Dubai has spent decades turning hostile geography into a global destination. The more successful that transformation becomes, the more infrastructure is required to keep the experience feeling normal. There is another side to this story, and ignoring it would make the argument weaker. Dubai is extremely good at adaptation. Night beaches are not evidence of a city giving up. They are evidence of a city inventing another way to use its coastline. Seasonal attractions are not failed attractions. They are businesses built around a calendar. Indoor entertainment is not automatically a weakness. In a hot climate, it is an obvious advantage. The tourism record proves that visitors are still coming. So the lesson is not that Dubai is doomed. The lesson is that Dubai's success depends on continuous adjustment. That distinction matters because the most interesting systems often look strongest right before you notice how much work is required to keep them strong. Dubai does not have to defeat summer once. It has to manage summer every year. The Marina needs another evening. Palm Jumeirah needs another sunset. Downtown needs another night of visitors. The gardens need another season. The wildlife park needs another reopening. The beach needs another set of lights. The city needs another reason for visitors to stay active when the sun is hardest to ignore. That is not collapse, but it is pressure. And pressure is what makes this story worth watching. Now return to the places we have seen. Dubai Marina will still shine under the sun. Palm Jumeirah will still be one of the most recognizable tourism districts on Earth. Burj Khalifa will still dominate the skyline. Miracle Garden will bloom again. Safari Park will reopen. Global Village will return. Hatta's seasonal experiences will come back. Kite Beach will still be there in daylight. Dubai is not disappearing. But the way the city survives summer tells us something more interesting than another record temperature ever could. Some places pause. Some hours lose value. Some experiences move toward sunset. Some neighborhoods become more attractive after dark, and the city keeps the tourism machine moving by making those adjustments feel like part of the attraction. Maybe that is Dubai's greatest summer achievement. It can turn adaptation into entertainment. It can make night swimming feel like a feature instead of a workaround. It can make evening life feel luxurious instead of necessary. It can make seasonal closures feel like anticipation for the next opening. But underneath all of that is a simple reality. Dubai did not make summer disappear. It learned when to step away from it. And every year, for a few places and a few hours at a time, the city quietly gives part of the day back to the desert. This video examines seasonal operations, heat adaptation, and tourism patterns using publicly available information from official Dubai and UAE sources. It does not claim that Dubai is currently collapsing, becoming uninhabitable, or facing an imminent tourism failure. Seasonal closures can reflect maintenance, business planning, animal welfare, visitor comfort, or operational decisions in addition to weather. References to future pressure are scenarios for discussion, not predictions of a specific disaster. If you enjoyed this deeper look at how famous places adapt to Dubai's extreme summer, subscribe for more stories about the hidden systems behind the world's most ambitious cities. And tell me in the comments which Dubai landmark you want investigated next, because sometimes the biggest story is not what a city builds, it is what the city has to keep changing to make those buildings work.